We only got one eval cup before the FNCS play-ins officially start, so I wanted to ask your guys' opinion on what is one prediction you guys have for every single trio before FNCS officially starts. If you guys want to be featured in any video similar to this in the future, make sure you guys just follow me on my Twitter. Also remember, subscribe to this channel if you guys are new, as we try our best to upload daily competitive content for you guys. If you guys want to support me even more, the best way to do so is by using code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop. We have a lot of different predictions to go over though, so let's just get it started. The first one says that Clix will win Grands by 100 points, Kahnada will qual LAN, but Muzz won't make it to LAN, neither will Bugha, and an underrated team will take the second spot instead. So for the first one about Clix winning Grands by 100 points, if we're just going based on what we have seen so far in things like the Div Cups, then I would have to disagree with this, as Clix quite literally couldn't even win any of the Div Cups. But if I am just going off of my personal feelings about this, I think Clix is still going to win grand finals, but I think there is definitely some other trios that can really put up a fight. I think pretty much all of the big name trios that haven't even qualified for LAN yet, specifically like Kahnada's trio, Muzz's trio, Bugha's trio, all three of those guys could be sneaky potential FNCS winners this season, and those guys don't even have a LAN spot yet. Really, a lot of Clix's main competition is going to be those non-LAN teams, and then like Reed's team on top of that, I guess too. For the one about Muzz and Bugha both not being able to take the other spot, and an underrated team will take the other spot, I just don't think on NA especially there's really any super underrated like good teams right now. Before we had the whole snakening, we had trios like Craze, Virgo, and Shadow, I'm pretty sure was their third, and that would have been one of my potential underrated picks to steal the LAN spot away from them. And I don't think a lot of us would consider like Rise, G Money, and Aviv an underrated trio, so I would probably have to disagree with your second one. But the Clix winning Grands by 100 plus points I think definitely is still a possibility. All right, this next one actually comes from Fredoxy, and he said Veno is winning Grands by 150 plus points. So we just had Clix is winning Grands by over 100 points, and this one is Veno winning Grands by 150 points. Now Veno definitely looked a lot better in the second Cash Cup compared to the first one where they finished in second place in the most recent one. I think the thing especially on EU right now is it's very similar to how NA is, where it's pretty much the exact same situations. We have arguably two of the three best teams on NA contesting each other of Peterbot versus Pouyo Offspawn, and now on EU we have arguably two of the three best teams over there contesting each other with Bugha versus Queasy Offspawn. So I think that really leaves the main favorites to win this FNCS on EU between Veno's trio, Fredoxy's trio, Vanya's trio, and those to me are probably the main contenders right now. I feel like Fredoxy's also trying to get some good karma here, and he didn't want to like predict himself to win Grands by over 150 points or nothing like that. I think Fredoxy will make a real push for potentially winning this grand finals, and also trios like Venya, Pixie, and Marius are just way too consistent. I think EU Grands is going to be so tight until the very end. This next one says Chap will once again drop Savage and Rezon, and we will get a comeback from Teeny x Chap plus Trulex playing with them, and they will get a top 10 finish in Grands. Now, oh my goodness, do we got some predictions right here. So for the first one with Chap dropping Savage and Rezon once again, I feel like, I don't know, bro. I really just can't say as of right now. He's shown that he is already willing to just drop them out of nowhere before in the past, even if it was only for 3 hours. Would I necessarily bet on Chap dropping Savage and Rezon again? As of right now, I'm gonna have to probably say no, just because I think the only way that he would do that is after the Evo Cup, and I don't think he's gonna want to go into FNCS with 0 to no practice at all with a completely different trio in a season, which is your last chance to be able to qualify for globals. I think he does just have a better chance to stick with Savage and Rezon, a team that he has been practicing with for months now, and they just gotta hope that they're able to get an uncon POI. And I mean, Teeny and Chap already have the chemistry, so maybe you could make that argument right there. And they were also an insane duo when they played together, but I just don't know, man. I don't know if I want to necessarily buy into this take. Queasy will dominate the Offspawn. This one is another one that's kind of hard for me to fully agree with, mainly just because of one of the main wildcard factors in this whole situation of Swizzy. Swizzy has yet to play a single tournament yet this season, season, as he has been in Russia the entire time trying to get his visa so he's able to go to globals. The speculation is that he should be back right in time for FNCS, but I mean, Queezy's trio is just starting to land there recently, while Bugha has been going there the entire season. Bugha necessarily didn't look too crazy fighting Offspawn last season when he was fighting Veno, Vico, and Flixie, but I feel like with Demon's Domain, a lot of that drop spot is preparation. It is how good of drops you're able to get, and I just feel like Bugha's trio is going to be more prepared simply because of the fact that Queezy's full trio literally hasn't been able to play together yet. I really have no clue how this Offspawn is actually going to go though, just because we haven't got to see it yet. If Pixar and Deeus get uncontested Utopia, they will win Grands. Now, as of right now, if you guys didn't know, Badil has actually left Utopia City to go to Outpost Enclaves, I'm pretty sure, which I do think is a smart decision from him. He was kind of just in a difficult position ever since the beginning of the season, originally trying to claim Crime City. Tayson pulls up, he's already a land quad team, no point to do that. Queezy ends up leaving Utopia City, and then Badil tries to go there, and then just before that, a couple of minutes before, Pixar and Deeus ended up claiming the drop spot, so he left one POI that was conned by a land team to go to a different POI that was conned by a land team, and now he is finally going to be at a POI that has no land teams as of right now. The thing with Pixar and Deeus this season is they really have not been impressive at all. In the only 2 Div Cups this season, they were not able to qualify for one of them, and then finished in 26th place while being contested in the other one. Their best performance of the whole entire season so far is winning 1 Eval Cup game. They are though another trio that has been struggling with trying to claim a drop spot, which I don't really understand how they are in that situation while they are one of the teams with a land spot, but it looks like hopefully for them now, they should have an uncontested Utopia City. It does make me think more about Queezy's decision to leave that drop spot though, figuring that they were pretty much in a position to do super well in grand finals out of that, and he left that POI to go and contest Bugha off spawn, who is also another land team, so he has to know that Bugha is not going to be leaving. Maybe they just know they're going to be conned at land no matter what, and they want to get some early off spawn practice against another trio. Or maybe Queezy knows something about Utopia City that we don't, and he doesn't think it's as good of a POI as a lot of people make it out to be. So back to your actual prediction though, do I actually think that Pixar and Deeus will be able to win Grands out of an uncon Utopia City? As of right now, my answer is a maybe. We know their FNCS history together, getting a 5th and a 3rd place. They remind me a lot of Chap and Teeny from last year, when Chap and Teeny in their only 2 grand finals, and I'm pretty sure Chap's like first ever grand finals got back-to-back 2nd places. Pixar and Deeus are very similar to that for me, getting a 5th and a 3rd place in their first 2 grands, which was like quite literally their first 2 grands that any of them have ever played. So if we're just gonna say they're going on a positive trajectory, they went from 5th, jumped up 2 spots to go to 3rd, and now if we are saying they're going to jump up 2 spots again and go to 1st place, I think it is possible, but just based off what we have seen so far, it makes me say a lot more of a maybe compared to before this season started, when I would have 100% said yes. Seti, Yapko, and Panzer won't make land. Seti is on vacation, and Panzer would just rather play squads no build cups than nobles. Savage's trio doesn't make land, just con at their spot and lose most off spawns. Deeus, Darman, Pix are unconned while Bugha and Queezy con each other. They could win FNCS. Kamihari iDrop get a top 5 placements in Grand, and then Shark, Bugha, and Comeback finish inside of the top 10. So the main ones that I want to talk about from here is Seti, Yapko, and Panzer not making land, and the reason that you gave for this was that Seti is on vacation, and as the time of me recording this video, it is the 2-week break. So even though you could be saying like, oh, the trios that haven't qualified for land shouldn't be going on vacation and things like that, I think this is still, if you're going to take any vacation time, which Fortnite has a pretty strict schedule so you're not able to, this is the perfect time to do so. I think as of right now, for me personally, I am higher on the Seti, Yapko, and Panzer trio compared to the Kamihari and iDrop one. I just think the fighting potential is better on the Seti trio than it is on the Kami trio. And then we're going to talk about Savage more later on with some other takes, so I'm not going to get too much into that right now. But for the Shark, Bugha, and Comeback top 10 finish one, I could definitely see that one coming to fruition as well. Peter changes drops last minute and wins Grands from there. So we do have the new Superman POI coming, I'm pretty sure around the 11th. A lot of people are kind of just assuming that it's not going to be that good of a POI, and also it's looking like it's going to be at the bottom of the map, so it's going to be very difficult for rotations and getting surge from there as well. I think it maybe is possible possible that Peter decides to change drops. As of right now, it doesn't look very likely, and it looks like they are just going into this FNCS Grand Finals with the mindset that they are going to just contest each other, which to me, I don't really know what either of these teams are gaining from doing that. But I mean, maybe Raz cooks something up right before Grand Finals and they go on like a Veno / Teeny sort of strat. And nah, I don't really think I could see Peter landing at like 10 different drop spots in a Grand Finals. That is just not the kind of reputation that Peter has built up for himself over these past like 2 years at this point. I think if anything, he might try to just claim a mid-tier POI right before FNCS starts. I mean, he could, if he wants to, just completely screw out one of the teams that has an uncontested spot that hasn't qualified for LAN yet. Like, he can land at Crime City where Kahnada's going right now, and Kahnada would probably leave because they know they have no chance of being able to make globals if they're contesting Peterbot. He could do the same thing and land at like Utopia City where Bugha's going, or Shiny Shafts where Muzz is going. There is a lot of potential options for him to go. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Ferdoxy will claim the best spot for LAN. This one I could also probably see happen. Ferdoxy has pretty much done nothing but positively affect his rep ever since he has really started contesting like Veno, Vico, and Flixie off spawn. He has looked like the off spawn final boss, and it seems almost impossible to beat him right now. He even has said multiple times himself that no matter what, he is going the best spot for globals. So this is probably a take that I do agree with. Pouyo's trio wins a 9-3 off spawn and they top 3. Now, honestly, I think if Pouyo's trio is able to win 9-3 off spawn and they don't get like cleaned up or nothing like that, it's just they straight up win 9 games off spawn, get the loot, and it's very similar to a situation that we saw in like the last Div Cup of the season. I think that this trio would have real grands winning potential. After this recent Div Cup, Pouyo, Acorn, and Agers really did show us that they have the potential to be one of the, if not the best teams in the entire world. Like, them only having 5 total games played, beating arguably the best trio in the world 5-1 off spawn, and then going on to win the Cash Cup as well, was just one of the most impressive performances that I have seen in Fortnite in a very long time. So I think if they somehow dominate that hard off spawn, then yes, I 100% agree with your prediction. We also have a very similar one that says Acorn, Agers, and Pouyo are winning grands. And then, like, once again, pretty much with what I said previously, I think the only way that they're able to do that is if they get at least 9 games, because you have to keep in mind that trios like Clix's trio, Kahnada's trio, Bugha's trio, Muzz's trio, any team that is in the potential for winning grands, they are going to have 12 fully uncontested games, and those are all going to be games that they're going to be able to play out. So I think at minimum, Acorn's trio needs to win 9 games off spawn to have a chance of winning grands. Veno is winning this grands and LAN, and he is going to be a top 3 player of all time by the end of the year. Now, this is a very interesting prediction right here. If all of this stuff that you said ends up happening, that would make Veno a 5-time FNCS champion, a LAN winner, and a 2nd place at LAN. I think at that point, you would have some real arguments for if you wanted to put him inside of your top 3. Of course, that also majorly determines on what some of the players that are still actively playing that are also in that top 10 do around him. Like, how does Peter perform for the rest of the year? How does like Queasy do? I think top 5 would be pretty inarguable that he definitely would be a top 5 player of all time if he was able to do all of this. But the thing also in being in that top 5 discussion is he has to have crazy individual performances as well in these tournaments. Like, if Vico is far and away the best player on the trio and both of these things end up happening, then I think it would be a lot more difficult to say that Veno is like a top 3 player of all time. Kind of similar to what we saw happen with Pouyo. Like, even though Pouyo is a 4-time FNCS champion, won a LAN before, there's not really many people, if anybody, that say he is a top 3 to 5 player of all time, just because in pretty much all of those grand finals, he was not the best player on the team. But I could maybe see this coming true. Bucky wins West Grands by 100+ points. I don't know what the theme is with just winning grands by 100 points is for pretty much all of these predictions for who's gonna win. If I had to bet money on whether or not Bucky is going to win West Grand Finals, I don't personally think that I would be betting on him to do so. Now that I think about it, off the top of my head, I don't even necessarily remember who his full trio is. I know he was playing with Okius, but I'm not sure who exactly their third is. He has just been cycling through teammates so much at this point. I think it is so possible for him to be able to qualify for LAN, but I think both of those things are just going to be very difficult tasks at the same time. Kahnada will fail to qual LAN, ending his FNCS streak, and then he will take a break from comp. I think it is possible that maybe Kahnada wants to start doing more content focus driven things compared to just competitive if he's not able to qualify for LAN. But I think also if they announce something like duos is back next year, then maybe he gets all of his motivation again if he's able to play with somebody like Clix, because then he can do both content and comp. I think pretty much for anybody though that's not able to qualify for LAN, that are one of the big name players and players that a lot of us would expect to be in LAN, a lot of them probably will be taking breaks just because there's really nothing else for them to do. Bugha's trio is going to surprise us and end up winning this FNCS off of a crazy performance from Craze. Now, I think if this happens, Craze's stocks will literally just go through the roof at that point. If Bugha is able to win an FNCS with two other players that are more considered underrated, even though I think all of us know how good Threats and Craze are, I don't think anybody would consider them to be like top of the top tier 1 pros, or even maybe top 10 pros on NA. So I think in order for Bugha to win FNCS, they have to have a crazy performance together as a trio, or it is going to be a Bugha height IGLing masterclass. But also Kahnada's trio is going to be going for height. I feel like both Kahnada and Bugha's win condition in this FNCS Grand Finals is pretty much the exact same, and that is why I am also just even more confident in Clix's ability to win this Grands. EU will have a huge snakening, and the only good trios of who hasn't qualified for LAN yet will be Pink, Nebs, and Kiro, and Vadil, Cringe, and Volko, and then all of the other good trios will split up. I think the only way that this happens is if there is some crazy domino effect where like one of the really good players wants to get out of his trio and go somewhere else. Maybe somebody like if a Thomas HD isn't confident with Sky and Scroll, but I think that trio is really good and I don't think they should split up. I just feel like right now a lot of people are kind of locked into their teams. The only way that I could see any snake season happening though is if some of these teams just completely dud the last eval cup right before FNCS, and if the vibes are just like off on that trio and they're like, all right, that's the final straw, we're splitting up. But I feel like a lot of the trios that are currently together are going to stick together. Savage misses out on globals by 1 placement and then retires. Now for Savage and Mongrel's plans after this season, if they are both not able to make it to globals, I still really don't know what the future outlook is going to look like for these guys. Both of these players have literally retired before in the past, so I wouldn't necessarily put it like completely out of the realm of possibility for them to do it again. They're both already successful young millionaires that probably never have to work a day in their life again and only continue competing in Fortnite for the passion. And we know that was one of the original reasons why Savage stopped competing, was he simply just didn't enjoy playing competitive anymore. And so I think this season is going to be big for him though. If this season concludes and he enjoyed playing, then I think he could come back for another year. But if he doesn't, then I really don't know what happens after that. Hey, we've heard a lot of rumors about duos coming back next year. I am the first one to say it. I am here for a Mr. Savage and Mongrel retirement tour, 1 final year together next year. You can't tell me that would not be some of the sickest content you could possibly see. Pink, Nebs, and Kiro will top 3. This is a prediction that I could probably buy into. They didn't necessarily have like the craziest Grand Finals performance last season. This trio though always does look super good in Div Cups. I think I am closer to predicting them around that like 5 to 6 range and being able to qualify for globals instead of top 3, but I do think top 3 is definitely still possible. Peterbot's trio wins again. Grand Finals Peterbot needs to stop being underestimated. He could get 25 0'd off spawn leading up to it, and I don't really care. I've learned to stop doubting him, and y'all should too. Now, I think if Peter was like fully uncontested and he was just having like a rough season, or if he was in like the exact same situation as Clix, where he had the best PY on the map completely uncontested, but he wasn't able to win any of the Div Cups, then maybe I could see this and I could like buy into it. But Peter is literally contested by a trio that has had his number and have been absolutely dominating him off spawn there. I mean, hey, we know that Peter can flip a switch in Grand Finals, but if he is able to do that for off spawn fighting as well in Grands, and they can somehow just like completely rewrite the script and they're the ones that win 9-3 off spawn versus Pouyo, then hey, maybe you just knew all along and we should have never doubted this take. But as of right now, I don't think Peterbot has a very high chance of winning this Grand Finals. And this is also probably going to be the first Grand Finals in a while where Peterbot is not the main pick for winning this Grands. Miro is qualifying for LAN. There is something that Miro is known for, not only just winning 6 FNCSs, but also being in control, specifically being the greatest trio player ever. Now, I think for On West, if I had to pick who I am currently more confident in between Miro's trio of Enact and Z-Link, who, if you guys don't know, Enact and Z-Link actually placed second place in the first FNCS Grand Finals on West this year, versus somebody like Bucky's trio. I really don't know yet, to be honest. I just haven't seen Miro even compete in a set lobby finals in so long. I do kind of want to lean more towards Miro right now. I just don't know if I can say that Miro in 2025 is going to qualify for LAN, but if he does and we see Miro at this LAN, that is going to be one of the most insane storybook careers in Fortnite we have ever seen. Must Sphinx and Shadow top 2. Now, we talked about this a little bit earlier about some potential trios that I could see winning, and they were on one of those teams that I did say for that. So I do think I could possibly agree with this prediction as well. Am I going to personally predict him to finish second place? Probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens either. Visual Sprays and Diminished will dud. Last season was an exception and they can't recreate that success. Now, Visual Sprays and Diminished only 2 placements this season are in 11th place, and then they were not able to qualify for the other Div Cup finals. So definitely not the performance of a trio that just finished inside of the top 5 last season. I don't think I'm necessarily ready to say that last season was an exception and they're never going to be able to do something like that again, but they definitely have not looked the best so far this season. Mongrel makes grands and Savage doesn't. I feel like this one is a little bit more of a hot take than a prediction. I personally do not agree with this one. I don't really see any way that Savage's trio doesn't make grand finals. Just the way that the FNCS play-ins are played now, for those top caliber trios and really good trios, it is very difficult for them to not be able to make grands. I think there is a real possibility though both of these trios are able to make grands. Thomas HD will win his first FNCS. Now, this is another trio that we talked about a little bit earlier, but I mean, I've just been sitting here thinking about this one over the past couple of minutes, and I mean, maybe. I have really liked so far what he has shown with Sky and Scroll. None of these guys necessarily have any insane trios placements over the past 2 seasons, but Thomas HD looks absolutely primed right now, and this is another team that I would probably predict more around that 5th place range. But if there was going to be any surprise winner on EU, I think it really could be Thomas HD's trio. Cooper, Ree, and Curly at minimum top 3. Now, if you were saying this before the season started, I think a lot of us, especially knowing the context of Peter and Pouyo contesting each other, this probably wouldn't even be a prediction. This should just be like a straight up fact. But this trio has really struggled this season. They have finished 3rd and 11th in the only 2 Div Cup finals that they have played. Also haven't looked the craziest in the eval cups either. A lot of people also like to make the point that last grand finals they were pretty much gifted a top 3 from these zones. I think this trio is going to need a little bit of luck on their side if they want to place inside of the top 2, but when push comes to shove, I might even still have these guys in my top 3 predictions. Other than that though, remember, if there's any trios that you guys want me to talk about that I didn't in today's video, let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe, let you know if you guys are new, as we try our best to upload daily competitive content for you guys. If you guys want to support me even more, the best way to do so is by using code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop. YouTube says enjoy one of these 2 videos up on the screen right now, so go check me out if you guys haven't already. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.